The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Friday, the 4th day of November, 2022. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications and Linders. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Sherry Vanderpool, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break. But why I'm smiling so much is Sherry backstage. Maya, like, how you feeling today, Sherry? Sherry sounds all done, and I just realized it's her day. Like, man.
I know. I just have a lot to do today, like a lot. And I'm working on the weekend and so forth. So, yeah, I think I was in my mind of like, how am I doing everything I need to do today?
Yeah.
So,
and then
but nevertheless,
Sherry, folks, I snitched on her. You know how much Maya loves dogs, right? And we had a moment on the show after we went off air yesterday, where the dog of the show, Paws, got to meet Gas, but they weren't really gassed about seeing each other. They didn't even pay each other any mind. That's your joke in the morning, folks. Yep, bada bing, bada boom. But hey,
this guy and the jokes, Jamal.
Hold on, I didn't even have a joke ready this morning. Should I? What? No. Okay, no. I'm not. Y'all didn't pay for that. But
no, we're not.
No, you didn't pay for that. You didn't need that. So look, Shara's dog sitting, folks. She has a beautiful boxer, and he's very well behaved. He doesn't
he is,
interrupt during the show. And Paws, the dog of the show, Paws, Sancho's dog. Paws is really good. He's only probably barked once during the show, and they didn't care to look at each other.
No, Gas just wanted me to rub on him, and he would come and push my arm, and I'm like, yo. and I keep trying to move my arm, and he keeps trying to, and I start rubbing his chest, and it's like, okay, but he's out there sleeping right now.
So do you have to like walk him and scoop and all that stuff?
Well, I don't walk him. I put him out in the backyard, and it's big enough where he just runs up and down. But I am a scooper right now.
So I meant to send this to you last night, and I sent it to Keitha, of all people, our partner Keitha, and I meant to send it to Sherry. Basically, it's a video I'm going to send or to the H crew after. I'll share it on social media since I'm talking about it on the Daily Hour social media. But it's someone who doesn't want to walk their dog. They got a drone to walk their dog. So it's a drone walking a dog. So I'm going to send it to you, Sherry, so that you don't have to, go out there and walk the dog. And see, this might be a compromise in my household. This might be a compromise, getting the drone to walk the dog. And now I just wonder if the drone can pick up the scoop. But anyway, we've got to move on. Thank you, everyone, and thanks for making us part of the daily routine. A good one today. We're welcoming Dr. Jahnae Harvey on from Tomorrow's Voices. I love these conversations because you don't know what you don't know. And I've only learned as I've grown older more about autism. So really looking forward to more education on this topic. And we have a daily play today. It's going to be the feud.
Yes.
It's going to be the feud. I guess you all have been rolling lately. You've been rolling.
I've been killing it. I've been killing it.
I think in the last 3 weeks, only Phil got one wrong with the music last week. I would think. I'm not calling Phil out. Phil's pretty good.
Mean, gator boots and a pimped out Gucci suit.
And she remembered what it was, Phil's. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Thank you to everyone who continues to support us. We appreciate you, folks. If you haven't done it already, please just do our survey. This information really does help us, help you. It really does. So if you haven't done the survey already, please help us out. Just go do the survey on our website. Actually, maybe I should put the link. down in
Huh.
the
How smart.
in the comments.
Very smart this
Yeah,
morning, Janelle.
just this morning, Sherry.
Just this morning.
Okay, just this morning. All right. See, Arsenal's
You
going.
opened the door and I just walked right through
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you get like that sometimes. I put the
Mm-hmm.
link there. You can do it. Good morning. Blessings to you, Lillian James, and good morning, B. Denise
Morning.
Hollis. Appreciate you being with us here this morning. All right, let's share this. Let's share this conversation. We're about to get in, folks. We're about to get in, and I'm feeling good this morning. You know, I saw Sherry's text just as we were coming on. She ain't too happy with me, but I'm not gonna call out on what she ain't too happy with me about. But we've got a couple of conversations to have before we bring Dr. Jahnae Harvey and Maya Palacio. First, there's the throne speech today, and we'll be asking you about that after this. So I read former Premier Michael Dunkley's post on social media, and you know, one of the things I try not to do is dismiss people because of their politics, religion, race, any of that stuff. I just don't think it's beneficial for us, because what we're doing is we're eliminating potentially good information from someone, and we're dismissing it just simply because of what we think of that person. But he had an extremely valid point, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to go on my phone and look up his post so that I can quote directly from former Premier Michael Dunkley's Facebook post. So here it is. He said he shared the link of the BTA brings a bit of warmth to chilly Boston. He says, quote, "Hold on, this seems like a very good initiative, but there is no direct air service between Boston and Bermuda," end quote. Folks, I said to Mr. Dunkley privately, share this. I said, here's what I find interesting. Here in Palm Beach, Florida, they're doing a similar activation in Chicago, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're doing something in Chicago. Stick with me, people. Stick with me, because I really want you to understand that we're not here to be critics just for the sake of being critics. We're here to really make people think and try to do things better. So I share this link of the activation that they're doing in Chicago. But why are they doing this activation in Chicago? Well, the airport, Palm Beach International Airport, shared the new direct route to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you like Michael Dunkley or not, he's actually really making sense. And once again, the Bermuda Tourism Authority, are we doing stuff just to do it? I'm not trying to be, well, I am being critical. I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm really just trying to, folks, there has to be some logic. Is there something we don't know? Is there going to be an announcement of a direct flight to Boston? Why are you doing a promotion in a gateway city with no direct flight? Even if it comes out in March, you're promoting it for right now.
And your whole thing is make it make sense, right? Yeah. At the end of the day, make it make sense. And it doesn't make sense right now. And it goes back to a number of things I've always said. And the big one is being transparent on what are we doing. If you're promoting something that is supposed to be happening right now, make it make sense. Is there a flight we're promoting it right now because the flight's going to become available in December? Okay, all right, let's get it out there so we can get the flight. But if it doesn't, then why are we doing it? So we're saying come to Bermuda, but go through New York first. That's basically what it is.
Makes no damn sense. It makes no damn sense, folks. Honestly, I want someone in the audience help me make sense of why you would be doing. And I just gave you an example. What most destinations do. If you're going to do an activation somewhere, you're doing it to promote a direct route. Like, I understand Bermuda has challenges right now. I get that. But why do something just for the sake of doing it?
We don't have an office in Atlanta, right?
No, there's only an office in New York.
I'm just saying. Like, this is like the new Los Angeles.
Good morning, anyway. Simmons. Happy Friday to you. Yes, Cher's favorite day of the week. Good morning, James Burgess. Appreciate you. You have a great weekend as well. Folks, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the Bermuda Tourism Authority doing a promotion in Boston with no direct flight? What do you think? Do you think it makes sense? You know, again, I'm cool with it if they announced, oh, a new direct flight's coming, like Sherry said, maybe December, but you're literally promoting it to come for the warmth, right? When, well, how are they going to get there? Through Charlotte? And it's okay, but like, I mean, just make it make sense.
And this laugh is, I just didn't understand. You know how some people laugh because they're uncomfortable? Like, I just didn't get it. Like, what is it?
I
And
and I think it's if you don't get it, Sherry, imagine how others feel. Because
yeah.
if I'm in Boston and I see this going on, I'm like, okay, let me use example. I went on the cruise ship on Wednesday, right? Well, I'm not a cruiser. Anyone that knows me knows I do not do cruises. I don't like cruise, whatever.
I'm gonna kidnap you and take you on a
But
boat.
I went on this boat. It didn't leave the port. It didn't leave the port. That's my agreement with anything I do on a boat. It can't leave. And they're promoting it as in, look, we want people who come into the city to use us as an option for a quick 1-2 day getaway. Literally goes to Bahamas. You get 1 day there and it comes right back. Right? That's Bahamas is very close. It's 50 miles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Quick trip, forward and back. Now, I could imagine going on there and the ship just sat there for another year. They had no plan. They kept saying like no plans on it getting, sent out. Would that make any sense, really?
Right.
I,
Just a
I,
floating
I
hotel.
help us make sense of this. What are your thoughts on the Bermuda Tourism Authority doing a promotion in Boston with no direct flight? Sean DeShields says, desperate times call for desperate measures. These guys are trying to rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic.
Try. Well, and the arrangement is not very very well. In the Titanic, it sank. Those chairs all slid into the cold, freezing water, and I feel like this is what we're watching: a slow into the water. Like it just doesn't make any sense.
No, it makes no sense, Sherry. It doesn't make any sense. And I think we, the Bermudian people, deserve to have this information. We deserve to, this is taxpayers' dollars. Whether they want to say, oh, they're making dollars from this or that, the majority of the income for the BTA is coming from the taxpayers. We deserve to know. We deserve to answers to understand, right? Where, why things are happening. Make sense of it to us. All right. So that was your first question of the morning. We've got to go because we don't want Maya kick us out. But folks, the second question of the morning. Second question. What would you like to see in the government of Bermuda's throne speech today? Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Until I read that the governor, Her Excellency, was, had COVID and not able to do it, I didn't realize that it was going to be today. Seriously, I mean, I think most of us have been checked out since the in-house election for leadership. One more quick comment before we go to that is Sean DeShields says, when there are unqualified and clueless leaders in important roles making such irrational decisions, then don't expect any positive results. I couldn't disagree. I mean, and the truth is, when you don't have the right people with the right, experience, and when I say experience, successful experience in the space, then even though they may not be doing the work, they're not going to disapprove. They're not going to hold it back. They're not going to say not do it because what do they know?
Right.
Second question, folks. What would you like to see in the government of Bermuda's throne speech today? What do you think Bermuda can benefit from? I did read last year's speech. I mean, let me say I skimmed it. And a few things stood out that I'm just like, oh, I don't know if that exists. I don't know. I mean, to their credit, the government has tried to move forward on a few things in there.
The cannabis bill, I saw one of it.
The Casinos Amendment Act. I saw cruise ships though, so I'm not quite sure about that. It was something.
Financial assistance, I think it was.
Tourism took my attention. Of course it did.
Still spirits.
Where is it? That's challenge before us. This is
Page 12.
yeah, I'm on it.
9,
So
sorry.
the it's so much words. This is typical government, but I guess we're still, regardless of what's in a throne speech. I think the idea is that a throne speech is supposed to be basically a book of promises, what I call it, of what the government intends to do over the next legislative period. And I think, the Bermudian people, you're the voters, you're the electorate. What would you like to see in this year's throne speech? I know it all seems like promises. May promise is not capped, but what would you like to see the government actually promise and deliver on? What's something that stands out to you?
Oh, for me, it's always that part of the vulnerable people that are within that. When you talk about Department of Child and Family Services, of course, that's kind of my baby in that sense. So for me, I definitely want something that's going to encompass people getting the support and the help that they need, not just workers, but clients,
Mhm.
especially clients, and providing reasonable and goal oriented um, programs that can really help and not have this continuous cycle of families in this system.
Mhm.
To have been a person that has seen a teenager and dealt with her as a teenager and then deal with their child
Mm. Cycle.
within my lifetime, and I've
Mhm.
done that. It's
Mhm.
very disheartening at times.
Mhm. Mhm.
So for me, it's definitely wanting to break that cycle and
Mhm.
finding different things that can assist with that.
Mhm. I hear you. And that's a big thing. And I think, we're so distracted by so many other things. It's small things we don't even look at, like, and sorry, that's not a small thing. It's things
Hmm.
like that we consider small because we don't, it's almost like, well, we don't see it, or it doesn't, we don't believe it impacts us, but it actually does.
It
Those
does.
cycles do impact us. Um,
It impacts when you talk about financial aid, right? You
Correct.
got the financial aid act in there.
And
Talk
where does
about
financial aid
daycare,
come from? Taxes.
right? Taxes. When you're talking about daycare, when you're talking about education, when
Mhm.
you're talking about employment, all of
Mhm.
those things are a direct effect into this system that is not working for those people that cannot
Mhm.
prosper within it. And it's sad.
Yeah, it is. Here's what I want to see, and I'll go to the audience. I don't want to see necessarily things. I'm tired of hearing promises. What I want is timelines. Oh, if we're going to do what Sherry just said, then this is the expected date. I think we
Yeah,
must look, when we're in business, when you have a business, you have to put not just the deliverables, but the deadlines, the timelines. We need to put our government on a schedule where they must deliver by this date. So if the government, the what's it called, the budget starts on April 1st, then we need dates that if we say we're going to put this national program in order, then the date that this national program, the aim is July 31st, right? That's what we
hmm,
need to do. I'm sick of reading throne speeches every year and saying, oh, we're going to do this, education reform. We're going to do this for tourism. We're going to do that. No, we need some deadlines. Why? Because that's the way that you're able to hold people accountable. That's the way that we can measure performance.
yeah.
But otherwise, it's just more words. Sean DeShield, Sherry.
Education reform must be included and firm action needs to be commenced to tackle the alarming young black male antisocial behavior crisis plaguing our country. Again, system,
Mm-hmm,
right? Cycles.
mm-hmm.
These are the same young black men I'm talking about as well. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. No, I got you. Roya Hartman says, agree, Sherry. No, I think, I would think it was, might have been former finance minister Curtis Dickinson. Someone recently said it that all of our problems really stem from education, right?
Hmm.
Um, if we get that right, then we go forth together. I completely understand why people put education at the forefront, because if you have an educated, not a well-schooled, there is a difference, but an educated people, you'll likely have more answers than questions. But
Hmm.
there's benefits to a government keeping people uneducated. There's benefits to that. There's benefits to keeping people reliant on governments. And so we must keep that in mind. Folks, what are your thoughts? What would you like to see in the government of Bermuda's throne speech? It's today. It's today. The deputy governor, vice governor, whatever, assistant governor.
Second in command.
Yeah, second in command. He will be reading the throne, the speech from the throne today due to Her Excellency's absence due to COVID. So, what are you expecting to hear from it? I mean, there just doesn't seem to be any hype around the throne speech this year. I think it's very telling. I think Bermudians are actually probably checked out. They're tired of hearing promises. Yeah, Billy Griffith the other day said it. Talk. People are really tired of talking. They want to see the results. That's why I'm calling for deliverables. We need to ask the government. We all have access to those MPs. There's people you vote for or not. But ask them, look, I need a set date. Philip Trott says, I want to see a more progressive tax plan, ease up the middle and lower class. IB can afford to pay a fraction of a percent more. Well, it's good after IB, oh boy. Renee Simmons says, I want action, not same talk as 2021. Need to know when they will implement universal standard healthcare. Yes, that's one. Why is this being delayed when the template is already there in the UK system? Does it work in the UK system? That's a question. I know nothing about UK politics, systems, anything. I am so far removed from the UK. Let's bring in Maya.
Getting in trouble.
Yeah, Sherry would get us in trouble.
Me? Never.
Oh, you didn't tell Maya about gas. You know how much she loves dogs. You know how much she loves dogs.
I didn't see her yesterday. She left for you to do the news, and that was the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's bring Maya in, folks.
Okay.
Good morning. This is the Daily Hour News Break brought to you by People's Pharmacy.
What is twinning today?
I saw that, Sherry, and I really thought about switching real quick, but yeah.
You should have. You should have.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maya,
all right.
I some people were sending me messages yesterday. Oh, Maya's at this event and da 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 da. It's just she's so grown so much, and then she comes here and I'm saying, yeah, it's just great, and then it's like we get her and it's like you don't laugh at my jokes, you just don't yeah.
I do. Because you're not funny.
I chuckle.
Anyway, whatever. How was yesterday, real quickly? Like, how was it? Was it a great event?
Yesterday was actually a really great day at the BDC's InspireCon. One of our regulars who watches, who I'm sure is happening right now, Michelle White, she was there and she was brought onto the stage. When I tell you, she almost put everyone in that crowd to tears, myself included. Yeah, that definitely happened. It was an inspirational day for sure, and a lot of great news that happened, even for myself. So I enjoyed it fully.
Nice. Michelle, we I'm gonna call out. We have they say we should invest in those who invest in us, and I have tried to get her on the show. She'll come when she's ready. But I love her story about like what she's doing. She said, "This is my retirement." And doing entrepreneurial things in retirement. But I love her. I know you guys are not as active on LinkedIn, but even like she pushes. She is her energy and everything she does, the passion, the understanding, the drive that she has to do what she does. So props going out to Michelle White out there, and just don't bring the tears over my way, please.
I definitely had a video, but I was like, nah, I'm not going to do
that. What you got for us in the news, Maya?
Well, we had Endeavor on earlier this week, and I got to speak to one of the graduates, Dante Butterfield, and he got to talk about his experience and reasons to encourage other young men and Bermudians to actually take part in the Endeavor program.
All right.
I used to go to school at West Pembroke, so on North Shore, you would see all the ships go across. So as a youngin', that kind of piqued my interest to how the cruise ships came in, seeing the ferry go across.
What's like one of the biggest, I guess, life lessons that you learned while being a part of Endeavor?
Definitely think outside the box. Especially in the industry, if you go into maritime industry, there's always different ways to do things. It's never going to be the same. So think outside the box. Don't be afraid. Take chances. That's how you progress. You make mistakes. Those mistakes are going to come, so you progress from those mistakes.
How would you encourage any young males to like be a part of this program?
I'd say definitely if you're an outdoors type of dude, you like being outside, but you're doing nothing outside. The Endeavor course is definitely great for you. Keeps you busy. It does take place in January and February, so it's winter time, but allows you to get more in touch with the elements. That's for sure.
What do you plan to do for yourself, like in the future? Like, do you still want to like do things within Marine, or what's your plans?
So my plan is to get my local captain's license. After that, hopefully start my own tour company, get that established, and then work internationally. So either teaching people how to drive boats, being a captain while like in the Mediterranean or in the Caribbean somewhere else. Just trying to take my talents worldwide.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. That's awesome. Do you want to see like that program actually grow?
I want to see it to where it's the whole of Bermuda, not whole of Bermuda, but a lot more kids are going to look forward to signing up next year. So to the point where they have to expand buildings. So that little base that they have, it's going to be full of children.
That's a cool story. That's a cool story. Literally just from watching boats go across North Shore. I mean, don't follow that young man, folks. Don't follow me, because I just thought about the amount of fish and sharks in the water between me and that boat going across North Shore. But no, I like his story. I do. What
Awesome.
you all don't think? Okay.
I obviously thought it was a really cool story, and I actually as 21, I was like, that's really cool. His aspirations and goals, and he's already working as a tour person in the Marine in Bermuda right now. So that's really like he's on the path, which is awesome to see.
Yeah,
it's very awesome, and I love the he'll want to get his captain license. And parking a boat for me is just, or is it parking a boat? Berthing? I don't know. Go ahead, Maya.
Oh, no, let's just say this. Well, if I win the lottery tonight, or no, Saturday, because it's 1.5. If Jerry or I win the lottery, we'll get a daily hour yacht, and we'll get him to captain the boat. That's our word.
Good plan.
All right. What else you
I'm playing some numbers.
They also teach them how to like read the weather too, so I found that really interesting. Okay, next on the list of what we have for news this morning, HM Customs intercepted a shipment found to contain approximately 120 pounds of cannabis in a joint operation called Operation Minotaur. The Bermuda Police Service drug unit was called in after officers from HM Customs intercepted a shipment of approximately 120 pounds of cannabis on Monday, October 24th. Warrants executed a number of locations in both Pembroke and St. George's, resulting in arrest of 3 suspects in relation to this matter.
120.
Let me just say this to the brothers or the sisters. Let me not be discriminatory.
Hello.
They're criminalizing Mary Jane, hemp, cannabis, marijuana, whatever you want to call it. Does not mean smuggling is legal. Can I get a hello?
Hello.
But, folks, look, I'm not here to judge. There's consequence. Do what you do. But I'm just saying, I don't want you all thinking, oh, it's the criminal, it's cool or whatever, and thinking that you can just, do as you please. No.
I
Go ahead, Shay.
No, I take from it all. I just want to know how they try to do it, because I find it very interesting the places that things will be found, or that they will put them. So I just want to know, where did they try to put that amount?
I guess we're not
very large amount.
120 pounds?
120 pounds. That's a large amount.
Interesting. No pictures or anything to show like.
There is a picture. There was a picture attached, and so I didn't send one in this morning to you, Joel, but there was a picture attached.
No worries. I just wonder, because I'm like, what does this 120 pounds look like? But folks, hey,
why not 150? Why not 150?
It was just like in bags. All of them were like in like separate little bags. You can see it on Burn News. I'm sure they were
vacuum seal bags. Don't ask me why I know that. I'm just saying.
We know what your background is, Sherry. She deals with social stuff, folks. I'm just saying. What else you got for us, Maya?
Well, I hope no one here is waiting to hear back about a shipment on order that they probably brought in, because the Customs Department will launch an online auction of imported goods that have been abandoned or seized in order to recover duty owed on them. The website has been established to provide further details available and the submissions of the items. Basically, it actually did start yesterday. You could start bidding, and you could go to customs.bm to find out more.
So
What
I went
items
on
did
the
they
website because I was
have?
trying to figure out what everybody's talking about, right? Yeah. Yeah. I think it's interesting. I saw some Suzuki lights on there, like I guess for a car. I'm just like, this is gonna be a shit show.
Well, what other items did you see, Jamal? I gotta go on there.
You do have to register, but I'm sure once you register, you can see all the items.
All of that.
No, I just saw the
Look,
Suzuki
I'm
lights.
gonna click it right now and see what happens.
Yes, please do. I saw a Suzuki
Yeah, it's
light.
asking me for, I have to register. So I gotta get my name, username, password, everything, email, phone, and then register.
So how you gonna feel if, like, I mean, mind you, look, I pay my duty. You ain't taking none from me. But how does it look? Because Bermuda's so small, right? It's something unique you purchase, and all of a sudden you see somebody with it. Like, I don't know, but
I did send a follow-up email after reading it this morning, just asking exactly like, how many times were these persons contacted for the items not up to bid? Can you tell me how long something has been waiting and sitting, and and the shortest of how long it's been waiting and sitting as well, and a couple of other follow-up questions as well that I put in there because again, we are a small island. It's very curious, and it'd be interesting to know the waiting period, and if there was a contract of understanding that if you don't collect your items in a couple of whatever, then they might be up for bid.
Well, hey, you all can bid for your stuff that they take away as well. That's pretty cool. Traveling Charlie says they have so many items: t-shirts, bras, car lights, cable cords, etc. Nicole Walker says customs used to do this years ago. I've gotten items. I'm late to the party. And then Kenton Truck says you can get a t-shirt, plates, a watch, lights, a Christmas tree, a wig, all from the same place. You all, man.
I need to check this out. Will they ship it? Do they include shipping?
Right?
It's an interesting concept. Like, if they have done it before, that's interesting to know, because that was a question that I've asked. I have not seen it been done before, but it's a good way to, I guess, not waste product. If it is sitting there for a long time, it's good.
It's just like in the United States, if your storage, you don't pay your storage, they start auctioning.
Yeah,
Same kind of concept.
Renee Simmons says, nothing exciting, all scraps. The major goods probably going. I bid it on Christmas lights. Didn't make sense, and the merchandise probably been there for years. Look, let's get through this. What else you got for us, Maya?
Obviously, although today is the throne speech day, so everyone can tap in on 10:15 a.m. today to listen to the throne speech. You can find that on CITV or any of the government pages. And as for the weather today, let me just look out my window. Mix of sun and clouds is expected for today. Few light passing showers as well, and maybe some moderate to strong winds later in the day. And we have a high of 78 degrees Fahrenheit.
All right, thank you so much for that, Maya. I'm sure. What days of the year you got? I mean, customs just made me smile today, boy.
I think this is all going to bring it into context. Use your common sense day. So it's common sense. Yes. Common sense is an important tool for living life. Common sense is the applied knowledge of simple, sensible things, such as not putting metal into microwaves, jumping into rivers without knowing what's under the water. Also having flights going from Boston to Bermuda, or having an activation. I just threw that in there. This date also marks the birthday of Will Rogers, the man who marked common sense ain't that common. We need to remind ourselves of the importance of applying common sense to our everyday lives and decisions to avoid unnecessary dangers and make most of opportunities. In the social media age, this is pet peeve of many, that common sense has fallen by the wayside. There are even calls for subjects to stimulate common sense in school curriculums, just to name a few.
Wow. Happy
Today's day.
Happy
yeah.
I mean, honestly, if I'm going to vote. That's I'm going to vote after this, right, for the first time. So I'm going to vote immediately following this show. And I was wondering, if there's long lines, the people in these lines, common sense, people in these lines, voters, common sense. And I'm starting to think that democracy might not be such a great thing if some people are allowed to vote when we talk about common sense, folks. I'm not quite sure, because common sense reflects the common people. So if the majority of people are reflected as common, I'm not quite sure I want that. Do you see how they act in this country? So I'm a bit on the fence about common sense these days, folks. I'm not quite sure I want it if this is what common sense is representative of the majority these days. I'm sorry. Anyway.
I get it.
Yeah, seriously. Maya, you gonna have a good weekend?
I am gonna have a great weekend, and just to say, I did watch your news segment yesterday, Jamal, and I'm gonna give you a 3 out of 10. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, Maya. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm tired. I'm gonna stop giving my opinions. I'm getting get better. Give me time. All right. Bye, Maya. Have a great weekend. Yeah, I tell you all, it's hard for me to talk about giving opinions. Folks, don't go anywhere. We got Dr. Jahnae Harvey coming up, a very important conversation about autism. Stick with us. This is a community conversation that we all need to be a part of. All right? We'll be right back.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you. People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHP staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dandytown Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
I say no to single-use plastic because I grew up in the most beautiful place on earth, and I want the next generation to enjoy swimming at a pristine Clearwater beach like I did as a kid.
There are studies that are showing that plastics are having impacts on fertility rates.
If we're going to have decades before these chemicals are out of our system, I think we really need to prioritize it so that we can see a future.
Ocean health and human health are intimately interconnected, and if the ocean is healthy, we're healthy.
We've looked at over 250 fish in 12 different species, and 40% of them had plastic in their gut.
Well, in the past, single-use plastic was a convenience to us. It's not a convenience anymore. It's hurting our island, hurting our ocean, and we need to stop.
A little change makes a big difference. SLTSUP, say no to single-use plastics.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, Jamal Hartman Unscripted, episode 2. We'll have Philip Ray. He is a white Bermudian atheist in religious Black Bermuda. will be an interesting conversation. I'm expecting a very educational conversation. I think, especially growing up how I grew up in a very, I went to Sunday school until they couldn't force me anymore. But just saying that is that the majority of us grew up with some sort of religious, part in our life. And I think we kind of thought anyone who didn't believe what we believed was bad, right? So I'm really interested in learning and loving beyond our differences. So should be an interesting convo. But without further ado, let's get our crowd ready as we welcome Dr. Jahnae Harvey onto the show. We're talking autism. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning. Good morning, Jamal. Good morning, Sherry. How are you this morning?
Listen to that energy. I love it.
Bright and early.
we're going to keep you longer because we're behind time because Sherry and Maya, they were being rude. So hopefully you got time for us. And
I sure do.
First off, before we get into the conversation, congratulations. Last time you were not Dr. Jahnae Harvey. Congratulations on your.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. And obviously, being in this space, I did not personally learn about autism until I was in college.
Okay.
Truthfully, I never knew about it when I was young. Obviously, you may have people who had different challenges, but it was not a word I knew. It was not a term I knew. But just describe to the audience, those who may not know, what is autism?
Yeah, definitely. So autism is a developmental disability. So most times when I'm speaking to individuals and I'm describing autism or explaining what it is, I ask them, okay, so what do you think about when you think about developmental or development in general? A lot of people will say develop milestones. So they may say, when does someone talk? When does someone walk? So with that said, autism being a developmental disability, it does impair when individuals on that spectrum start to engage in certain things. With that said, autism is also known as an invisible disability because it's developmental, right? So when you look at an individual who has autism, you see some people come in the room, you wouldn't know who does just by physically looking has autism. So yeah, it is a developmental disability where individuals may be a little bit delayed in regards to those developmental milestones.
Well, with saying that and talking about the visibility of it, what are the various characteristics, if any, of autism?
Yeah, that's a good question. And like I did mention, it's a wide spectrum, so a wide range. So as I mentioned, these characteristics, individuals can present quite differently. So individuals can engage in restrictive or repetitive behaviors. They can have some social differences. Maybe that's differences in ability to engage in socialization or understand socialization. It's possible to have some communication differences. Some individuals can be verbal, some individuals can be nonverbal, and anywhere along that spectrum. Individuals with autism can also experience sensory processing differences. So with that said, autism is one of those developmental disabilities that is commonly diagnosed with other developmental disabilities. So on top of it being a wide spectrum, if an individual has another diagnosis, then that widens the spectrum even more. So if someone's heard of autism, I'm sure they may have heard of, if you met one person with autism, then you've met one person with autism. So although those are some of the characteristics, it can greatly vary between. Yeah.
Thank you for that. That definitely opens up the wide range of it. I am familiar with hearing about Asperger's, which I know is also a form of autism, and that's the social part. Am I correct in saying that? So I didn't want to throw out a word.
No worries. So for Asperger's, individuals with Asperger's, they tend to be more on the higher end of the spectrum with autism. So I spoke about autism, individuals having those restrictive or repetitive behaviors. With that said, individuals can have very specific fixations, right? So whether that be fixated on trains, whether that be fixated on flags, whether that be fixated on math or science, when you think of individuals such as Albert Einstein per se, he was known to have autism. So when you start getting into Asperger's, that is more of individuals who have those higher functioning abilities, capabilities, but they do still have those social differences in regards to understanding and communication. Yeah,
Oh, thank you. So, autism can be diagnosed around 3 years old. Can you take us through some of your experiences of when a parent or a caregiver has received a diagnosis? What is usually the next steps for them?
Yeah. What I will say is that parents' role is key. So I mentioned earlier autism being a developmental disability, right? So as a parent, you are tracking this individual. You're looking at their development. You're kind of seeing when do they walk, when do they talk. So the first step is the parent's identification of maybe something isn't on par with developmental milestones. Going to a pediatrician would be the second step. So going to a pediatrician will verify if this individual is indeed on par with their developmental milestones and so forth. If the individual is not on par, then there will be a referral or a recommendation for an individual to get a diagnostic test. So when you speak about diagnostic tests, a diagnostic test, it's not a medical test in the sense where they check your blood pressure or they take blood. It is a developmental test. So they will kind of observe behaviors. They will do parent questionnaires. That parent role, again, is very important. Questionnaires with maybe the nursery school teacher or school teacher to get a better idea of how that individual presents developmentally, well-roundedly. So that is going to be the process. Once an individual does have a diagnosis, the next step is to seek services because early intervention is key.
And you talk about early intervention and how it is key, but we also know that this child will naturally and will physically transition into an adult. But for persons with autism, that transition cognitively will transition, right? I can't get it out differently. It will change, right? Differently.
Exactly.
Tell us about that change.
That's actually a really good question. So we did initially speak about individuals being diagnosed at the young age. However, it's not uncommon or not unlikely for individuals to be diagnosed as adolescents, teenagers, or even adults. So individuals can be diagnosed at any age. So they can go through those processes that I spoke about earlier. However, to speak to your question, yes, individuals transition. So people often ask me, is there a cure for autism? So there is no known cure. However, as I mentioned, early intervention is key. So what that means is an individual with autism, a child with autism, will grow to be an adult with autism. So definitely taking those things into consideration, looking at, what do we have to do as adults? What are responsibilities as adults so that we can prepare this individual for being independent in that realm? So definitely.
And what are some of the resources for adults who are autistic in Bermuda?
Yeah. To speak to that, it is more limited than for the child population. That is an area that, Bermuda is growing in. Here at Tomorrow's Voices, we are in a pilot program for adult services for individuals with autism. With autism, individuals will still have the same characteristics that I mentioned earlier, but they have a different slew of responsibilities. As a child, your responsibilities are to make friends, go to school and learn and so forth. As an adult, your responsibilities are similar. You socialize, but at work. You have to make money. You have to be able to sustain yourself. You have to learn maybe vocational or volunteer opportunities and so forth. So with our pilot program, those are some of the opportunities that we present to our learners. So micro-entrepreneurial opportunities, vocational training, recreational and social skills opportunities. So that program is in a pilot program, but it is an area that is still emergent in the island of Bermuda for adults.
Is the hope to be able to have a child who's diagnosed at 3 and be able to follow them and track them all the way through adulthood, being able to interject services so when they do transition to adulthood, a lot of the foundation has been laid? Is that some of Tomorrow's Voices goal?
Yeah. So the main key is independence. So you first want to look at the individual and you want to see, one, what is their diagnosis? They may just have autism. And as I mentioned earlier, they may have another developmental disability alongside autism, which is important to take that into consideration when looking at the individual as a whole. When you look at that individual, you want to identify, okay, these are the things that are in their life that are important for them in their life. How can I assist them in being as independent in those areas as possible? For example, tying your shoe or tracking, making a plan and putting your planner, setting alarms, identifying. Some people may be good at remembering what they're doing, but if not, what are the self prompts that you can teach the learner, such as taking their phone out and setting alarms for, their day or their week. So teaching them those skills. But the main thing is identifying the individual so that we can identify what would be most appropriate for them, and then working on their independence. So getting them to a point where they're as most independent as possible in their daily areas.
I hope that we were able to write this in the throne speech. Do we still have some time?
That's funny. If anyone has any questions or comments, send them through. We will do our best to get through as many as possible. Philip Trott's asking, well, first, congratulations, Dr. Harvey. Are there sufficient accommodations in our education system for those with autism? If not, what would you like to see?
Great question.
That's a good question. One of the things that we do here at Tomorrow's Voices is we do bi-monthly workshops. We actually have one coming up November 17th, which would be specific to the adult population. So we do that. However, we also do privately booked and privately scheduled workshops. So in the past, we have been booked by various schools to do trainings on specific topics and principles of behavior. So that's definitely a resource that can be tapped into if the individuals are interested.
All right, we've got another question. Sheikha Reyna, she's asking, are there any companies in Bermuda seeking to adjust their job interview style to accommodate people with these abilities?
Love that.
That's a good question. I do want to mention before I get into that question, jobs in Bermuda. I can't remember the word for it, and I'll have to get it to you, Jamal. But there is a scenario where you do hire an individual who has a developmental disability, where you payroll tax or something like that. You're not as responsible for to kind of be a I guess you can say a reinforcement for engaging in that process. But I'm not specific the answer for every job in particular. But what I can say is through our pilot program, we have worked on getting some opportunities for our pilot clients. So we have had some companies who have been very open to that process, but I can't speak on a grand scheme.
Alrighty, and Charles H. Jeffs II says, what are some common mistakes that some make when interacting with autistic individuals?
Great.
I wouldn't say mistakes because everything's a learning curve, but I would say is assuming that everyone's the same. I did mention earlier, if you've met one individual with autism, you've only met one individual with autism. Sometimes I notice for individuals who may tend to be nonverbal, people tend to think that they do not understand what's being said. I've had full conversations with individuals who are nonverbal, who can communicate maybe using their iPad or picture exchange communications, depending on the level of the learner. And for higher functioning learners, some things that they've mentioned is, I'm sitting in a room and someone's talking as if I'm not there, or someone's talking to me as if I can't hear them because I can't vocally speak back. So just being mindful that just because the way someone may verbally communicate or present, that may not speak volumes to their cognitive ability and how much they can understand. So just kind of gauging the individual, understanding where they're at, and being mindful that every individual is unique and different, as well as their functioning levels and understanding levels.
And I think in addition to that, Dr. Harvey, is also a parent or caregiver. My interaction with a child one time was, hello, and he didn't speak. And the parent says, he's on the spectrum. So I was like, okay,
Speaking of that, Tomorrow's Voices actually has cards available free of charge for parents that are almost like communication cards. So say, for example, you are managing a scenario and you can't quite provide that communication, which for you in that scenario was greatly it helped you understand. And sometimes parents can't, but they can hand the card that gives some tips and strategies. The card actually says, my individual has autism, and then it does break down some of the characteristics so that as a community member, we can understand. So anyone who's interested in a card, definitely call and we can provide you with one.
All right, Sean Smith's asking, how equipped is Bermuda to help people who have children with autism?
How equipped is definitely emergent. Bermuda is growing in the area of autism. I can only speak to the services provided here at Tomorrow's Voices. So Tomorrow's Voices, we're commonly mistaken as a school, but we're actually a medical center. So I can only really speak to the services that we provide here. But if anyone is directly interested in services here at Tomorrow's Voices, they can give me a call personally at 297-4342. That's 297-4342. So if you're listening and you have any private or personal questions in regards to services for you or someone you know, definitely give me a call.
All right, Thea Furbett says there are payroll tax concessions for employers who employ those with disabilities. One last question from me.
Yes, thank you.
Is so if a child is nonverbal, is that are they definitely on, like, do they definitely have autism, or is it completely different?
No. So for an individual to have autism, they have to have all the characteristics outlined in the DSM-5, which is the diagnostic standard. So what tends to happen sometimes is you get into a scenario where individuals start self-diagnosing, or so you want to make sure that the individual goes through the process that I mentioned earlier and does receive an actual diagnosis, because sometimes you can have components of a developmental disability but not meet the entire criteria.
Okay, I know you've got to go, but one last question. Manuela John, she's asking, is there a negative effect on an autistic person if a person gets visibly frustrated with them?
It really depends on the cognitive level of the individual. As I mentioned with the scenario I provided earlier, speaking to a higher functioning individual who was nonverbal, they did communicate that it was a bit stressful when people did kind of get frustrated with them. So it really depends on where the individual is cognitively and their level of awareness and understanding of that.
All righty. Thank you so much. Just once again, can you give them the number where they can connect with you?
Surely, yeah. So 297-4342. That's 297-4342. And before I go, I do want to mention that the comment that Thea put in the chat did provide more information about what I was talking about, the employer. So the payroll taxes is what I was referring to.
All righty. And she also says Tomorrow's Voices is phenomenal. And I'm not just saying that because I'm part of it. The team is working with clients, make this work better. So honestly, we appreciate what you're doing. Thank you for the education. When I asked the least questions, I'm really like learning. I know, look, I'm not afraid to be vulnerable and share that I don't know stuff. Sometimes no matter how much you read prior to a guest coming on, you still don't grasp it, because reading it versus someone educating you on
sometimes you have to hear it.
Exactly. So I appreciate this, and my hope is that we can have more conversations like this, because you guys haven't been on in like over a year, right?
A
while. A long time. So our audience needs to know this, that we need to understand this, our community needs to understand this, because growing up as a child, we let's just be honest, we tease people who had differences. We didn't understand them. And as adults, we literally are so narrow in terms of our own issues and what we're dealing with that we tend not to even consider what other people may be going through. Someone may not be autistic, but they may have an autistic child. They may be dealing with family members who are like dealing with it. So I'm grateful for the work that you guys are doing, and please know that this show is here should you need us at any time. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jahnae Harvey. Let's talk soon. Thank you. All right, folks, if you appreciated today's conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Please share these conversations with your friends, family, colleagues. Again, this was a learning conversation for me on so many reasons. Like it just, I'm grateful. And I'm grateful for Sherry, because Sherry, I said to her the other day, like, you're so valuable with these conversations because of your background, seriously, because, I'm reading and I'm just like, Hold on. And that's where my last question came from. Seriously, my last question about being nonverbal, is that a sign? And so just learning this stuff is important, folks. I'm with everyone. You know, there are people who send me texts after the show. Oh, Jamel, thanks for asking that, because I didn't want to come across like I was. No, we're not slow, folks. None of us know it all. Seriously. No, none of us know it all. Like I don't know a lot of stuff. Trust me. I talk like I do. I'm sorry, I don't. Look, we've got the Daily Play coming up. We've got a giveaway coming up. So you don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to go. Don't you dare go anywhere. We're gonna give you something. Well, I am. Sheriff's cheap.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security, there's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
All right. Thanks again for to Dr. Jahnae Harvey and Tomorrow's Voices for today's conversation. Thanks again to One Communications, People's Pharmacy, Lindo's Medical Health for ensuring we can have these conversations. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol, and Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why Mr. Photogenic is, well, making you all laugh and want to get the game. Check it out. I mean, he had those young ladies. I don't know who Miss Newsom is. She's a teacher somewhere. I think at Sands or somewhere. But Miss Newsom, you doing your thing. These young people, they were struggling with some other questions, but they mention you. You're doing your thing. So whoever Miss Newsom is, if somebody watching the show knows Miss Newsom, give us some props. Young people, they're giving her credit for making a difference. Sherry, are you ready? It's the feud today.
I am.
All right, here we go, folks. Sherry thinks she's on this roll, so let's see if she can keep going. Name a reason kids give for not finishing their dinner.
They're full.
Wow. All righty, here we go. Name something a wife asks her husband to pick up on his way home from work.
Food, milk, eggs, sanitary napkins.
Nope. All right. Here we go. She's rolling, folks. She's rolling. Name a person you don't necessarily like but are obligated to get along with.
Jamal, a teacher, your boss.
Boss number 2.
Your spouse.
Well, no.
Parent.
Nope. Oh, we got it, folks.
Child.
Nope.
Teacher.
Nope.
Preacher.
Nope.
What was it?
Let's see if the audience knows the answer. Name a person you don't necessarily like but are obligated to get along with. Wow.
A sibling.
Everyone actually got it, actually.
Sibling.
Mother-in-law. In-law.
Haven't had one of those in a while.
Folks, let me just say this. I don't have these issues. I'm gonna be real. I wouldn't have got that. I married well, bro. You know what I mean?
You just want this recorded for future purposes. Don't fall for it, you like.
Hey, look, you gotta marry the in-laws, man. Hey, look, I'm married the in-laws. You know what I'm saying? Like, not me and my brother-in-law even. Like, I mean, no, we don't got a long football season because he chose the wrong team, but yeah, we good. We got the name of teacher Charmaine Newsom is a former Ben Teacher of the Year. So teacher Charmaine Newsom, props to you. your students out there doing a thing. Let's do this giveaway, Sherry. Well, the hashtag Bermuda Trivia today, so that you can be like those young people getting the answers right. We do have there will be a new Bermuda Trivia holiday edition. It is an extremely limited edition. And when I say extremely limited, there will be less than 100 available. So there will be a holiday edition released this month. So you all heard it here first before it goes out on social media accounts.
Yeah, my address, right? I gotta send you my new one. I'll send you my new one today.
Oh, okay. You do that. Hashtag Bermuda Trivia for today's giveaway. Sherry, let's wrap up this show. Discussions, we had a couple, and then autism.
Okay. So it's very easy for our discussion. Make it make sense when we're talking about the BTA. And I also think with the throne speech, make it make sense. Make sure that all of the things that we are promised, as you said, has deadlines and that they come to the surface and make it happen. BTA, make it make sense. It's Common Sense Day, and I'm just going to leave it at that. In regards to Dr. Harvey, I appreciate the conversation. As you saw, I was all in it. I feel like we definitely need to remember there is a person and then there's a disability and treat that as it is. And Tomorrow's Voices is there for anybody that needs assistance or help. So, yeah.
All right, folks. I pretty much agree with Sherry. Make it make sense is the line of the day. And that goes for both things. The BTA, throne speech. Make it make sense. Make it make sense for the people of Bermuda. As far as Dr. Jahnae Harvey, thank you to her and everyone at Tomorrow's Voices who are making this important conversation, putting it out front so that the general public. This is why I appreciate doing this show, especially with the people I do it with, because of these conversations. So thankful that they trust this platform to engage our audience so that we can all learn and become better citizens for not just ourselves, but for the most vulnerable amongst us. Let's do this giveaway, Sherry. Let's see who's it going to be. Let's hit it. Let's hit it. Let's hit it. All righty, here we go. Where's the drum roll? Where's the drum roll?
And I see my sister's name. Come on, Marcia.
You can't cheat for people. Traveling Trotty. There you go, girl. All right, there. Traveling Trotty, you know what to do. Send that email.
Congratulations.
No, hey, look, it's a limited edition for the holiday for Traveling Trotty, so we can't get you that one yet. Not yet. But congratulations to you, Traveling Trotty, on that Friday, November 4th victory. Sherry, you got some daily inspiration for us?
I do, and I think it's very fitting. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind always. And that is from Robin Williams.
I appreciate that. Like that one. And you know what happened with Robin Williams? You didn't know what he was going through. Folks, if you haven't already, make sure you take this moment while we're speaking. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, just hit like. It takes no effort. Like the post. Just like it. Hit that little toggle, that thumbs up, like it. Just hit like. It's cost you nothing. Also, if you haven't already, please fill out the survey for us. And this weekend, like I said, I'll be discussing what's it like being a white Bermudian atheist in Black religious Bermuda, folks. So please tune into that this weekend live. Philip Ray, when Sherry finally bows to my pressure, she'll have her show up and going in the new year. I'm doing what I asked the government to do. I'm setting deadlines for Sherry. I'm going to do the same for Maya. So I'm being very public right now. She didn't know I was going to say that. I'm being very public. Yeah. And she'll probably cost me out when you all's not listening. So don't worry about that. But
I'm trying to stop my camera.
I echo Rodman Famous. I want to say this. This was one hell of a good week when it came to guests and conversations. And I want to end it on this here is, folks, when it comes to politics and drama, everybody wants a piece of the daily hour. But when it comes to helpful, encouraging, inspiring, motivating conversations like we had this morning, this week, we need our community here as well. So it's up to us to share these conversations. So on that note, thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you on Monday. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman. My friends, please make it a safe and a great weekend. Sherry, you got to be in January.